Attorney General Barr has been highly critical of your findings. During the final stages of your investigation, he even embarked on his own personal investigation by meeting with foreign leaders in foreign lands, apparently in search of evidence that contradicts the fact that Russia interfered in the 2016 United States presidential election to benefit Trump. Clearly, Barr's investigation, which was launched to do the bidding of President Trump, has two objectives. One, to undermine the integrity of our intelligence community. The goal, to cast doubt on the finding that Russia interfered in the 2016 election in order to benefit the Trump campaign. And two, to intimidate the men and women of our intelligence community by suggesting that our national security professionals will face serious consequences if they investigate wrongdoing on the part of this president or his operatives. You have the power and the duty to investigate misconduct committed by the Attorney General of the United States, who is doing the bidding of the president to undermine our intelligence community. And I trust you take that duty seriously.
I do, and I'd just like to add that under the law, under the Inspector General Act, it carves out from my authority the ability to look at misconduct by department lawyers from the line lawyer all the way to the top and the Attorney General.
But history has also shown us that the Inspector General can participate in an investigation of the Attorney General, and that in fact happened with General Gonzalez. Do you recall that?
That happened, and it's worth noting, that happened after the Attorney General said our office was not going to get the case, that it was going to go to the Office of Professional Responsibility, and the choice for our office was whether to join that investigation or not. But that wasn't initiated through us.
So
that's the important point. The law has to change, Senator, and it should change.
So are you recommending the law?
Absolutely.
If I propose legislation that would change the law, would you support that?
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, there's legislation. Senator Lee has sponsored, several members have co-sponsored. The House has passed this unanimously.
And you would support it?
Absolutely, 100%.
So it was recently reported that the president's personal attorney, Rudy Giuliani, asked Ukrainians to help search for dirt of the political rivals of the president. In exchange for the help, Giuliani offered to help fix criminal cases against them at DOJ. Giuliani and his associates, two of whom have been indicted and are now in federal custody, allegedly reached out to a Ukrainian energy tycoon who faced legal problems in America. In exchange for helping find dirt on the president's political rivals, Giuliani's associates reportedly connected the Ukrainian with lawyers who could get a top-level meeting at the United States Department of Justice. In essence, Giuliani's scheme was an attempt to trade get-out-of-jail-free cards for political favors. As part of Giuliani's plan, Attorney General Barr met with the Ukrainians' lawyers, who asked that the Department of Justice withdraw evidence in the tycoon's bribery prosecution. Earlier today, you said you are not investigating matters related to ongoing Ukraine issues. Does that mean that you have decided not to investigate these incidents?
No. As I think mentioned in a recent letter, and I've been in touch with fellow IGs who've been asked by members to look at those issues. We've been in communication with each other. I think as Mr. Fine, the Defense Department IG, wrote to several members of Congress, he was foregoing at the time undertaking any work while the House investigation proceeded and any matters here in the Senate. And, as I mentioned, we will look accordingly at any action that we have the jurisdiction to review.
Do you agree that if true, Giuliani's scheme is alarming?
I think anything like that would be very concerning.
Yeah, I'm just going to go out on a limb and say that Trump probably wishes Kamala Harris was back on the campaign trail instead of on the Senate Judiciary Committee, where she is clearly a force like no one else. And she put that on full display when she used her time with Inspector General Michael Horowitz, not to dwell on the fact that the IG report proved conclusively that the Russia investigation was legally justified. She took her allotted time to expose yet more crimes by the White House and signal that the Trump team's charade of using the powers afforded by their office for personal favors would become coming to an end. And clearly, this has been a recurring theme in the Trump administration. From Trump himself conditioning legally allocated, taxpayer-funded military assistance on the announcement of politically advantageous investigations, to Giuliani using the Department of Justice as a tool to trade get-out-of-jail-free cards for political favors for his boss, to Bill Barr not only allowing all of this to happen, but devolving into a complete and total lackey for Donald Trump. This entire administration has proven itself little more than a criminal enterprise. And thus far, they've acted with as little oversight as possible. First and foremost, from a Republican Congress during the first 2 years of this administration that would have been too collectively spineless to dare call Trump out even if he set a literal fire to the White House. And beyond that, by relying on the fact that there's effectively no oversight apparatus overseeing the Department of Justice. Although today, it seems like that's about to change. In fact, Senator Harris got Michael Horowitz to agree to support legislation that would expressly allow him priority in taking cases to look at misconduct by the Attorney General. As it stands, the Department of Justice IG is the only department IG that doesn't have jurisdiction to investigate misconduct. That jurisdiction falls to the Office of Professional Responsibility, which lacks the teeth that the IG's office has. In fact, this has been a long-standing issue. In September of 2018, Michael Horowitz made a statement to the House Oversight Committee where he said, "I want to thank this committee for its support of an issue that only affects the DOJ OIG. My office does not have jurisdiction to investigate alleged misconduct by department attorneys when they act in their capacity as lawyers. In those instances, the IG Act grants exclusive investigative authority to the DOJ's Office of Professional Responsibility, a DOJ component that lacks the same statutory independence and protections that the OIG is provided by the IG Act." Earlier this year, the House passed the Bipartisan Inspector General Access Act, HR 202, which would grant the DOJ OIG the authority to conduct oversight of all DOJ employees. I hope that it will be given swift consideration and passage in the Senate. And so, given the misconduct of Bill Barr laid out clearly and succinctly by Senator Harris, we now have public interest in making sure that legislation is passed that would finally allow the IG to effectively hold him accountable. And something tells me that Kamala will be a vocal proponent in making sure this legislation is passed. So while Trump and Giuliani and Bill Barr might view our government as their own personal playground to trade political favors using public office and taxpayer money, that seems to finally be coming to a very swift end.